Welcome to Hot Flash Chronicles, where midlife is messy, menopause is madness, and we're sweating through it together.
We're Angie and Shelly, two caffeine-fueled, slightly inappropriate grandmas who say what everyone's thinking.
So grab a drink, crank up the AC, and let's dive in.
Shelly!
Angie!
I don't hate getting serenaded too. Today, this is going to be a great topic because we have this happening soon. So it's kind of like it's good for us to talk about it before it transpires. And I think it's going to be fun to listen to.
Well, aren't they all?
Obviously. So if this is your first time here or you just don't remember our names, my name's Angie.
I'm Shelly.
And this is Hot Flash Chronicles podcast. Today, what are we talking about, Shell?
Okay, it's that kind of famous American Thelma and Louise girls road trip theme. We're talking about girls going on vacation.
Yeah. Girls trip, girls night, girls just hanging out with your girls, why it's important, tips for how to navigate it properly, what are the potential pitfalls,
Do
all
you
of these
need
things.
bail money?
I hope not.
Well, it's all those things.
It's all those
like
things.
the whole spectrum of everything wonderful and maybe sometimes scary about those kinds of friendships.
Right. So the reason this kind of came to like the front of our minds as far as talking about it is in a few weeks, we are going to Napa together for our birthday trip.
Yes.
So my birthday is on July 26th and hers is on the 28th. I'm turning 52. She's turning 60. So we decided to take a little trip to Napa.
Yeah. And we have a bigger vacation kind of, for me, bucket list travel that's happening next spring when I go to Germany with my course, and then we're going to do a little side trip to Italy.
Right.
So we have to figure out like how and we've done like little mini trips together.
We've done little mini trips. I don't think we've ever done let's get on a plane trip together.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we have.
That wasn't for traveling for a singing group or something, like just the two of us. I don't think.
I don't think so. So we'll have to
I'm quite looking forward to it.
So we've done this kind of traveling together before where we've been, stayed in a hotel and had to do that. But I know that I get along with you just fine.
Sure.
But there's been other times with people where I've traveled with them and there were, surprises or things you weren't quite expecting,
right.
Or you had to maybe work through some things to make it a pleasant experience.
Right. It's just because you're friends with someone doesn't mean that you can necessarily travel well with them.
Exactly. Some people are very specific.
So have you had things where you're like, oof, I need to make sure that this never happens again?
Yeah, I have. I've had times where I shared a room with someone and then realized probably shouldn't be sharing a room. Maybe next time we each need to pony up the money and have our own individual room. Some people just have routines or have criteria that is not something pleasant to, or doesn't, I shouldn't say not pleasant, but it maybe just doesn't match with how you stay in a room.
Right.
So it's like, sometimes it's better for the friendship maybe to not share, that close of a space. But you and I won't have that problem, but girls, okay, so there's this myth about.
First of all, why do we feel like we need to have these girls trips or girls nights?
Yeah, there's a lot of lore to these getaway girls trips. Like, oh, we're gonna have a girls night out, and it's a girls only vacation, and we're gonna do this. And I think there's this myth that these girls are gonna go off, not girls gone wild, but you're gonna have this freedom, this time with your besties or with girls that is just untethered, and you can go do whatever you want.
Right.
You can get into little adventures. You can maybe just do the things you want to do that, like it's the girls club, no boys allowed. And we think there's something exciting about getting to go away and just do whatever we want.
Well, and I think that some of it probably originally stemmed from women are traditionally the homemakers and the ones that are making sure that, little Jimmy makes it to soccer practice and that the roast beef was bought while it was on sale and stuff. And I have a sneaking suspicion that the origin story of girls' nights and girls' trips is women just needed a little bit of a break from their day-to-day task list and to-do list, and just to have some freedom to not have to make sure that everybody is being taken care of.
I remember back in the 70s, my mom, she would have friends come over like at lunchtime. These were all the stay-at-home moms. And they would come over and have like a lunch date, like on, during the summer, it would be on a midday when all the men were off at work. And these were all the housewives of, wherever we lived, Grays Harbor. And I remember what they were doing was, we're going to meet and play cards and have this. They were drinking wine. That's what they were doing. They were drinking wine at 11 a.m. and they were drinking wine until about 4.
I say good for them.
Not as good for my mom, who was an alcoholic. But the other ladies were probably
Sorry,
fine.
I forgot about that part.
But it's just that it was escaping and having these moments where you weren't just a wife and you weren't just a mom, where you could hang with your friends and have a glass of wine and relax and escape. I think there was a little element of, today I can just be me. I'm not a mom. I'm not a wife. I'm just,
you don't have a title,
friends. Yeah,
or responsibility for other people's well-being.
And I think that's valid. Like,
totally.
I think we all need that. And then I think this, girls' night out. What do girls do on a girls' night out? Like, I think that varies depending on who the girls are.
And what age group they're in.
And I remember when I was younger, a girls' night out is way different.
Yeah, it was definitely more rambunctious and risque and shall we say, inappropriate than it would be now. Now it's like, do you know what sounds great? Let's go get some petties and a bottle of Cab Sav, and let's hang out in the sun, maybe some water.
Can we go do that right now? That sounds amazing.
We could.
Can we get a nap in there somewhere?
We're recording the podcast.
Oh,
so we just took a trip to Lincoln City, Oregon a couple weeks ago. Shelly was on a trip with her daughter's family, and I was able to crash it partway through and hang out. So one of the things that I know when you're traveling with girls, like these are, we want to do like some tips and tricks and things to avoid. If you're going in a car, make sure that, you don't need all of the, full bottle of shampoo. Like, I always find that when I travel with other girls, it's like we each brought a huge thing of hairspray, whereas we could have just gotten one. So kind of consolidate everything. Women, I'm speaking of myself here, tend to overpack. Like, well, I wore a headband once in 1996, so I should definitely pack all of my headbands just in case. Like, there was one time I went to a singing convention in Alaska, and I had packed for 8 days 7 pairs of shoes and 6 purses. Wow. And my friend Teresa said, "Really? This is what we decided we need to fly to Alaska with? Like, one purse wasn't enough?" No. And it's just interesting that we tend to bring everything in the kitchen sink. Like, well, what if I get a bee sting? I'm going to need the insect cream. And it's like, they have those. We need to settle down. We need to just settle down.
I've started taking very little, knowing that I'm like in the Lincoln City thing. I knew there's an outlet store there. I took like 2 outfits, knowing I was going to hit those outlet stores and be bringing stuff back.
Boy, did you hit them.
Boy, did I hit them.
You hit them.
And sometimes when I go to England, I take an empty suitcase because he gets a free one and I get a free one. So one of them is empty because I know I'm going to buy shit and bring it back. But yeah, I think overpacking is definitely a thing. And also, some people have very rigid schedules. So I think it's a good idea ahead of time to check and find out things like, what time do you like to get up in the morning?
Right.
Do you like to take a shower?
Are you a morning person or a night person?
Yeah. Do you need a cup of coffee before I can speak to you? Things like that. You don't think they're important, but if you know them ahead of time, you can work with each other to kind of accommodate. Some people need some alone time. Even when they're on a vacation, they might be like, I like to read for an hour in the afternoon, or I like to read before bed. So it's just good if you haven't ever spent that kind of time with somebody. You might think you know them really well, but if you've never actually stayed an extended amount of time, you might want to ask.
And there's some hygiene things too. Like, I remember rooming with one of my friends a couple years ago for photography, and she walks in the room. She goes, "Can we just acknowledge everybody poops, everybody farts? We're going to make noises and smells that exist with all human beings. So let's not try to like. I have to run to the lobby because I have to."
Yeah.
Like let's just acknowledge that that's just a human function. It was like, oh, good point. And then also things like sharing a bed, like it seems fine, like, oh yeah, I can share a bed with you, but it depends on who the person is, because some people are flailers, or
Mhm.
you know
Well, they need a
boxing fights,
CPAP
they need
or
a CPAP or something, or they're snugglers. I've had a couple awkward
snuggling.
interactions, like, whoa, hey, 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 not your husband, not your husband, hey, hey, hey. So that kind of a
Get
thing,
ready
just
for
kind
that one, Angie.
just because, I mean, you and I have shared a room lots
Yeah.
of times, but it's like you kind of sometimes have to discuss these things. And, things like saying, like, I remember Teresa once was like, just so everyone knows, there's a book of matches in there. Don't be afraid to use them.
Yeah.
Things like that,
Yeah.
where you talk about the thing that maybe people don't talk about. But those are things that you, in a normal, just hanging out with your girlfriend for coffee, wouldn't encounter.
Yeah. And I think I really like this idea of when you go like a Thelma and Louise road trip. Like that one ended badly. We don't want to
Yeah,
have
let's not use that
we
as our
don't want to have
inspiration.
that as our inspo, but we do want to acknowledge that there's bonding that occurs
Mhm.
on trips. There can be, and I think that is part of the the folklore or the mystery or the whatever the reputation of a girl's trip is that you're going to bond, you're going to have this
Yeah.
experience. And I think that is very valid and something that's important for women to do, especially if you're, I don't know if you're a young mom or if you're an empty nester or if you've never had kids, but it's just your female relationships are important and valid to you. I think trips like this can be really bonding and you create memories. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
these are important things that everything in life is about creating a moment, creating a memory. And when you take time and effort and spend money, you want to make the best memories you can. So, as we always promote here, lots of good communication, like
Yes,
Angie's been describing, can help make that a successful trip. And also recognizing that it's important to make time for your female friends
totally.
and to nurture those relationships.
Well, I know that Shelly, I mean, she's my best friend, obviously, but one of the things I love so much about her is that she will recognize when I need either to just kind of download what's going on in my head, or if I need her to hold space, or if I just need to be silly. Like, she's really good at reading me as a friend and also letting me know if she needs for me to hold space for her. And I think that um, because we're very direct with each other, is probably why we've never had any sort of tiff or anything, is because we feel comfortable saying, I need this right now, or like, hey, it looks like you're going through this, and we don't ever judge each other, and we don't put expectations on each other that are unreasonable.
I think being uncomfortable in friendships, sometimes the biggest gift you can have is being comfortable
Mm,
with saying the uncomfortable thing.
right.
And there are certain friends you just have that you know you can be 100% honest and
Unfiltered.
authentic and unfiltered with them. And they are going to love you no matter what that is, no matter what that request is. And those are very important people to have in your life because there's so many people who we don't really get the opportunity to have that kind of honesty and directness with for lots of reasons. There's reasons why we can't be that way with everybody.
Right, for sure.
So having people that you can be that way with, it's so important. And I feel like for women, a lot of times that is other women like that,
Mhm.
that those are your women friends who you can have that kind of open, direct. I think women a lot of times get each other
Mhm.
and can understand the struggles and how hard it is sometimes to be completely honest. So that's why nurturing like these girls nights out or these vacations or these
Mhm.
getaways, they're more than just fun. It's like a mental health break sometimes, I
Right.
think, more so than a fun trip.
Do you feel like when you travel, especially for something like this Napa trip that's coming up, do you feel like you plan out outfits very specifically for, well, since we're going here, I'm going to want to wear this? Or like I'm somebody who just kind of packs clothes that will work for the overarching weather and level of casualness that I'm walking into, unless like I'm going to be photographed or I need some sort of a, like I'm going to be the photographer and I need a uniform, things like that. Are you somebody that like very meticulously is like, this is a going out to dinner outfit and this will be like if we go to the beach? Do you do that, or how do you pack?
Yeah, I kind of look at where I'm going and what I think will be happening. So, like when I go to Hawaii, I have certain ideas. And it's interesting, after going to Hawaii a few times, I very much changed that list.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of very formal, dressy, fancy things. And like the last time I went, it was like 3 pairs of shorts and 5 t-shirts and some beach stuff. And that was it.
Yeah.
And flip flops. I really changed on after being there. But for like the Napa trip, I've been to Napa a couple times.
And I haven't been at all.
And
so.
you haven't ever been. And I know at the time in July when we're going, it is going to be very warm. And I know we're going to be going to wineries. And based on what I saw other people wear and do, I am a Leo in the sense that I like to kind of dress up for the vibe.
Yeah.
So I have some very
well, you're fancier than I am.
outfits.
You're more like you always have like everything, all you're accessorized, you have earrings on, your makeup's always done, your hair's always done.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm more like I just rolled out of bed and like, where are we going today? Like I don't have a fashion sense per se, mostly because I can't wear makeup. So here's something interesting that I've figured out. If you're not wearing makeup, it doesn't make sense to do like your hair really fancy and dress up, because people will look at you and not know what's wrong, but it's like something's not quite right here. So it's kind of almost forced my hand to be a really casual person, because if I was sitting here dressed up right now, my hair was all done and I had like super cute little, like how Shelly is right now, a little necklace and a little shrug and a cute little tank, then it's like something's missing and you can't quite put your finger on it. So I think it's kind of forced my hand to be a little more casual.
Yeah, and I think, and I feel like the whole thing about that is, if you feel comfortable being dressed up or if you feel comfortable being casual, that's really what people get from you. Confidence doesn't have to do with your makeup and hair and what you're dressed like. It has to do with how you feel about yourself.
Right.
I can dress really casual too. I have times when I want to feel, I have tons of hoodies. I'm a definite hoodie girl.
Same.
And I'll do that. But I always kind of, there's this Leo part of me, the preening, primping Leo part of me. I always take pride in having my hair and makeup done. It's a part of my routine in me feeling awake and ready to face the day. It's putting on your war paint, as they used to say. I don't know if it's cool to say that anymore. That might not be appropriate.
Probably not.
That. Let's not call it that. Not. Rescind that. I'm being aware that that's probably not right. But they used to say, getting prepared basically to face your day. So I do that as part of my wake up and get ready for the day routine. It's not just, I want to look good. It's more like, here's how I show myself that I'm going to go for my day. So,
and since we're doing the podcast twice a week, we're going to pre-record so that we're not recording an entire podcast from Napa, but we will be doing like social media posts and going live and things like that. So we're going to have to pack some equipment for that. This will be the first trip in a while that I don't think I'm bringing my camera, which is weird. It's like an extension of me. So, but since I'm not doing any photo shoots, it doesn't make sense to bring a fancy camera or whatnot.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to use your space on that. And I think that the thing that's nice about when you plan a vacation with somebody is, like, this is the first time we're talking about a lot of this stuff.
I was like, well, maybe we could discuss it on the pod since we have to discuss it anyway.
Yeah, so we might as well just we're multitasking.
Look at that.
But it's like, that is important. Like, have that discussion. What kind of things do we think we'll be doing? What do you want to do?
What's important to both of you? Everybody's voice is equally.
Let's plan the excursions based on what's interesting. I know that I want to get into San Francisco one day and get on the Fisherman's Wharf so we can get a crab sandwich.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. And Bodines for your sourdough.
It's pretty rare that I'm like, this is a must-do thing. I'm very go with the flow. Like, yeah, that sounds cool. Like, that's chill. But I know there are people that like to have like things really planned out. And at 8:00, we have reservations here. I'm not that person, but if somebody wants to be that person, I can submit to that and go along for the ride. But if you're looking to me like, did you book the dinner cruise and make sure that you did an add-on for the creme brulee dessert? No, I'm not that friend.
No,
I'm more like, you just tell me where to show up. You just tell me where to show up and I'll be there.
I'll make sure the creme brulee.
But I'm also agreeable. Like, but I'll also tell you that doesn't sound super exciting.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I want to spend one of my vacation days.
I feel like I'm more about, I have ideas of the things I think I want to check off, but definitely not, it has to be a very flexible itinerary because I always want to be open to something else might come up that we might want to do. So I kind of put an idea of like, I want to do an olive oil tasting. I know we're going to go do some wine tasting. I want to try to get to the redwoods so you can see the redwoods.
Right.
I want to maybe hit a little bit of San Francisco. And that's really as far as I've gone because I know when we get there, we'll talk to people and I know people are going to tell us ahead of time, oh, you got to go do this. You got to check this out. You got to do that. So I like to be open.
I like for the wind to carry me to where I'm supposed to land for the day. The other thing to keep in mind when you're doing a girls' night or a girls' trip or anything like that is different people have different budgets. So it's like I might have, $3,000 to blow on these 4 days and Shelly has 10 grand, like it's, or
oh my God, I'm
wish. Joking. Those are obviously,
those are not the numbers,
but it's like and especially if you get more than 2 people, then it's like, okay, what are we thinking? Because somebody might not want to say, I don't really have it in my budget to go to 3 really nice dinners. Like Shelly and I are both pretty good at weighing out, like, are you cool with doing this? Are you good with that? Yeah, I can do that, but I can't do this thing then.
Yeah.
So.
And we usually can always find an alternative.
Totally.
But again, it's all about, communicating with people what the expectations
for sure
are ahead of time. So you don't get there and find something out and it blindsides you. Like, what the hell? I wasn't thinking that was going to happen.
And that's how I choose to spend my money that's where I'm most frivolous is during travel. Because if I'm going to be somewhere, like if we're in San Francisco and there's a line for the Bodine's sourdough, it's going to be important to me that like, I don't care how much that sourdough costs. Like if you want to do the thing and you can do the thing, you should do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know when I'll be in San Francisco again.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you want to do, I'm more like, that's where I'm going to be less frugal is during travel is like, if I want to try the thing, like I'm not going to not go on the Eiffel Tower if I'm in Paris because it's a little more than I thought it would be. Like, no.
Yeah. These are like life experiences and that's what you're paying for is a memory again. And that's why like these female road trips or girls' night out, again, you're making an important memory and you're bonding with your friends. So sometimes you find after you do one of these trips that might be all the bonding you need to do with that person. I have found that
like a one and done. Yeah.
I found that on a few trips, like with people I thought, oh, maybe not long term. Like Angie and I have known each other for over a decade. Sometimes I liked somebody and thought they were really cool. And maybe we were 6, 7, 8 months into a friendship.
Right.
We did something and I went and things happened or transpired that made me realize, oh, this is probably not someone I will be doing this kind of trip with again.
Right.
And that's okay. Sometimes that's how you find out. But if you can avoid that, the best way you can avoid that is by doing all this stuff ahead of time. But I had a couple experiences where I found out like people had substance abuse issues that I was not aware of. And some crazy stuff ensued that I really didn't want to be a part of. And, it's like, oh, I didn't think to ask that.
Why would you think like, hey,
do I need to ask?
Yeah, right. Are you going to be doing this? No,
yeah,
probably
exactly.
Not. So talking about the, like saying yes to things, it reminds me of that trip that we took to Baltimore. So we took a trip to Baltimore with our quartet that we were in at the time. And the treble clef of our quartet was staying in Baltimore to watch the singing competition that was happening. And Shelly and I decided that for one of the days, we're going to take the train from Baltimore into Washington, D.C., much to the chagrin of the Treble Clef.
Yeah.
So we decided, and we just like take the train to D.C. And I'd never been there. I think you had been.
I had been like a year before, and you had a bucket list that you wanted to see the White House and some of the monuments.
Right. So we went there, and it was dumping rain.
Oh
and
my gosh.
we had my Nikon camera. That was before I started as a photographer, and we're just dumping rain at like the Jefferson Memorial. And then we decided, like, what if we took the train into New York City? And I was like, first of all, the Treble Clef is going to be fit to be tied if we do that. If we send them a selfie from Times Square, they were already not super comfortable that we had just kicked off and like gone to a different state when we're supposed to be.
Now, we do want to say that day was the one free day we had to do any
and we weren't competing. We were there as spectators. So it was like we were there too. Anyway, so we looked at it, and the train tickets were like $200. And it was like, oh, it's kind of a lot just to go like for selfie in Times Square. But that is one of the, like, I could count on 3 fingers the regrets I have in life. That's one of them that we didn't go to New York that day.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, if you want to do the thing, and you should just do it.
We don't
like, that
was our shot.
I've still never been to New York. And this was 14 years ago?
Yeah.
13 years. I don't know how long ago
it was.
But
we had amazing, memorable day. It still shows up in my Facebook memories.
Totally.
Hashtag no regrets. That's how we spent our time. Hashtag no regrets. We got caught in the rain.
Yeah.
It was amazing and fun.
It was so good.
And, sometimes you do a spontaneous thing and it's a lifetime memory. So, so I believe in having those kinds of moments and being open and not being in a rigid schedule where you can't allow something like that to happen.
Right. So it's like I can literally count on just a few fingers the regrets I have in life, but it's like, man, I wish we would have gone to New York that day.
You know what? New York is gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. Obviously.
It is absolutely gonna happen. We have to figure it out.
So what are you most looking forward to? A, on the destination that we're going to, and B, for things that we will like share as friends.
Okay. I think I'm really excited that you're going to be seeing it for the first time, because I don't know if any of you listeners have ever been to Napa area, but I really think in the United States, it is one of the most beautiful places that I've ever seen. It's so relaxing. The vibe is so chill, and just sitting out and looking at fields of grapes and drinking wine and just talking with your friend and enjoying good food and conversation. To me, at the point where I'm at in my life, I really value experiences like that. It sounds relaxing. It sounds like a little bit of an escape from, daily life and all these things we're talking about.
Right.
So I'm excited you're going to get to see it, because just visually it's stunning. And then I think we're just going to have so much fun, because we always do.
Right.
So I'm excited that we're going to be creating this new chapter in our travels.
Right. Yeah. It's like, it's a different page of the scrapbook. And isn't it fun when you're the one who has done something and you get to share it with somebody that you care about? I think it's really cool. It's like, oh my gosh, you've never done this. Or like, you've never tried this kind of sandwich. We should get that. And I think it's really fun to be the one that introduces something to someone that is important to you, and just like kind of sitting in the reaction, and there's like the anticipation. Are they going to like it too? And I think that's a really fun, I enjoy sitting in that seat and like watching people experience something that's important to me. So
you'll get to do it when we go to Italy, because you've been to several times.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like, we were trying to think of something fun to do for our birthday, because we knew like our husbands are very nice men, but they're not going to plan like a big birthday party, even though it's my 60th.
Mine did for my 50th. He did a surprise party,
and
but
you're on an off, you're not on a big decade turner. I am. And my husband, Phil, the nice Britishman, he's just not going to do something like that. And also, I'm not I want a ton of people in the room,
right,
yelling and screaming happy birthday. That's not really what I like. So we decided we would do a little destination thing. And this time of year in July, Napa was one of the things I just thought, oh my God, let's do Napa. And I didn't even know Angie hadn't been.
Yeah.
But as soon as she said she had, I'm like, oh, well, done. that's what we have to do. Like,
so my last birthday, I was flying I had come home from Lake Chelan that day. And then the next morning I flew to Bilbao, Spain to go on the Bordeaux river cruise with Ignite You Travel, because I did some video work for them on that cruise. And so it's kind of ironic that I, again, on my birthday, will be traveling to something that is revolved around wine.
Yes.
Isn't that fun?
Maybe
with friends.
Maybe we're starting a
Maybe
trend.
it's a trend.
And that's not a bad trend.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to have a blast, and we're going to be getting input from you listening. You could, if you've been to Napa or Sonoma, if you've been to that area and you have recommendations, we'd love for you to drop recommendations and tell us maybe what your favorite part is or what we can't miss seeing. I know there's hot springs, there's mud baths, things like that. There's a lot of spa stuff.
Right.
So we'd love to hear from that. Or if you're on our social media, we've been asking people who listen to us on the different platforms for input, and our subscribers to our TikTok, we've been asking for input from them. So we're definitely open to hearing, suggestions.
Right. Sure. And what a great segue. Also, our subscribers on TikTok are going to get some subscriber only content while we're in Napa that is not to be missed. We'll just put it that way. So I think it's been a really fun topic, as per usual. And what we've been doing lately in our podcast wrap up, before we do the rapid fire questions, which we are hearing is like everybody's favorite, we're doing shout outs to new subscribers on the Tiki Tackies, and then a few shout outs to some randoms. So since Friday's episode 2 days ago, we have CJ and we have Gam Camp. So welcome into the subscriber club. And then a couple randos. We have Michelle's Bling Boutique. We have Yam. We have Kelly Jane. We have Marie, your digital hype girl. We have Cherie Gill and Queen Jess.
There's one more I want to do. Can you scroll back up? Because she actually gifted our CJ with the subscription, and it's Connie, who is the
Real Life with the Nelsons, right?
Yes. Real Life with the Nelsons.
Yep,
so we got to give a big shout out to her.
Yeah.
We have a lot of kind people who are gifting other people with subscriptions. So
yeah, totally.
They're all awesome.
So thank you for subscribing. We're at 91, which is totally wild to us.
That's crazy.
And we just accept that with gratitude from y'all. So Shelly, as per usual, we're going to do a couple rapid fire questions to each other, which apparently is everybody's favorite thing because they want to hear what our answers are. So first question for you, if you were going to create a brand new social media platform, what would you want the basis of it to be?
I would want a platform where people could feel very comfortable in using their real first name, not their last name. You never have to disclose that. And maybe feeling comfortable enough to have honest conversations where they would not be judged and there would be zero troll tolerance.
Love that. What would you name it?
Safe Space.
Safe Space. Oh, I know you were just finishing that sentence, but
that's the name.
Yeah, Safe Space.
Yeah, because I think people need those.
Totally. Yeah. Okay.
Your turn.
My turn.
Okay. I'm going to go to, since we're going to Napa, I'm going to go a little bit down that road and say, is your ideal day something like taking a food and wine tour, or is it more like having a spa day where you relax and somebody pampers you?
I would say the wine tour. Yeah, I'm like, pampering is nice, but I'm allergic to a lot of the stuff that they use. So
yeah, that's
I have to be real careful with that. Massage sometimes can trigger my autoimmune stuff. So I'm not really a spa girl. Like, I'll go along, but pretty much my spa thing is getting my nails done. That's about. So I would say definitely the food and wine tour.
Perfect.
Okay, Shelly, do you prefer? Okay, we're going to talk frostings.
Ooh.
Oh, so let's say you're eating a cupcake.
Yeah.
It could be any kind of cupcake.
Ooh.
Would you rather have, I'm going to give you a few options here.
Okay.
Do we want like a double chocolate, like a fudgy chocolate, like dark? Or do we want a traditional vanilla? strawberry frosting or cream cheese.
Ooh, dang.
I know. Sophie's choice.
I feel like I'm really attracted to the citrusy thing. So I'm thinking like you didn't name it, but I'm going to throw it out there, a lemon buttercream.
Lemon buttercream.
Yeah,
That doesn't sound terrible.
I like the buttercream and something with that little hint of either like orange or citrus.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that.
Love that.
Oh God, now I want a cupcake.
I mean, we can make that happen.
We can make that happen. That's right. Okay, so Angie.
Yes.
If you had any opportunity, let's go back to Napa again. You're an artist, but you're not a photographer.
Oh.
If you could sell wares at like a farmer's market in a beautiful place like Napa, what would be your product?
Sourdough bread.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, like some bread and maybe some specialty oils.
See, I automatically thought for myself pottery. Even though I can't make pottery, I would learn how. And I can see myself like at that wheel throwing stuff.
Well, I'm thinking in Napa, like I would want maybe some snackies to go with it. And I'm a pretty good baker, so.
Yeah, breadsticks for sure. That's
cool.
it. Those are good. We talked about food again. I hope everybody is remaining calm. We didn't pass up the food question.
Of course not. So, guys, thank you for being here. And it means the world to Shelly and I that you choose to listen to Hot Flash Chronicles. If you have the time, we would love if you would give us a like, a share, a follow, a subscribe, or even better, a 5-star review. It would mean the world to us. And with that, we bid you adieu.
Ciao. That's a wrap on this episode. If you laughed, related, or just need more, hit subscribe.
Check out the show notes to find us on socials and YouTube and join our Patreon for exclusive extras.
And remember,
we're still hot, just in flashes.